Today is March 11th, 1925. Welcome to this week's episode of the Arts and Entertainment Broadcasting Show. Unless you have lived in a cave for the last 5 years, you have heard of this recently emerging genre of music. It's not blues. It's not ragtime. You got it, folks. We will be talking about jazz music. So, to start off, we will ask the question, what is jazz music? Today we bring in Bessie Smith to add some of her insight to this new jazz era. Good evening, Miss Smith. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
From your observation, what differentiates jazz from ragtime or blues?
Well, jazz uses stronger vocals, like you were saying earlier. Jazz uses scooping, sliding, whining, growling, and falsetto effects, something we haven't seen before in previous forms of music.
What kind of instruments are used in jazz?
In a classic choral jazz band, you would see a cornet, clarinet, and trombone, as well as drums, banjos, guitars, and basics for the rhythm. Now we are starting to see the presence of a saxophone. So who knows? The saxophone might play a larger role in jazz band in the future.
And do you see a future for jazz?
I think jazz will stick around for a while. I'm already seeing it leaving a footprint on the American culture. At least I'm hoping it will.
I sure do too. Thank you for being here today, Miss Smith. After that helpful commentary from Bessie Smith, we will now dive into a history of jazz. Although you may have just recently heard of jazz within the last 7 years, jazz has been around for many decades. The birthplace of jazz is in the southern city of New Orleans. African Americans are a large part of the creation of jazz music. While jazz music has been around for decades, there was a huge spread of jazz after the Great War. As jazz musicians migrated from New Orleans to the northern states and the West Coast region, jazz became a widespread movement. Then that brings us to today. This is definitely not the end for jazz, but merely the beginning. For years to come, what jazz icons should you be looking for? There are many jazz artists who have risen to fame within the past few years. Louis Armstrong, for example, is an artist who has risen to fame. 3 years ago, in 1922, Louis Armstrong joined King Oliver's band called the Creole Jazz Band. I think that we have a lot more coming from Mr. Armstrong in the future. Cab Calloway is another name you probably recognize. He is an excellent musician and has played at both the Cotton Club in Harlem and the Harlem Savoy's Ballroom. Calloway is known for his use of sounds in the lyrics instead of words. These are changing times. Bessie Smith is one of the first female soloists in jazz. This has opened up a lot of opportunities for women in the music fields. Who knows? Maybe we'll see women showing up in other fields as well. But that's a topic for a different episode. Tune in next week at the Arts and Entertainment Broadcasting Show.